paramedics and dad rushed me to the ambulance and took me to Incheon hospital. While dad and mom were interviewing Dr. and OO at the mental hospital, the paramedics watched over me to make sure I didn't leave. Mom told Dr. An OO during the interview that I started being a vegetarian. Dad told Dr. and OO during the interview, sometimes talking to herself, so I suspect it might be a symptom of schizophrenia or delusional disorder. Her said, 909 room people living in an office style stalking and monitoring her. Dropped out of high school and has borderline intellectual disability. There was a conflict with the neighbors in the one-room apartment over noise, and she said she will retaliating by hitting the wall. Dr. and OO listened to dad's words. It was written like this in the medical note. Shows symptoms of schizophrenia, has severe delusions of persecution, and exhibits aggressive behavior. She want to be alone, emotions become dull, talk to herself, laugh to herself. She lost in thoughts and feel like someone is watching her. She said, people living in an office style stalking and monitoring her. Although she don't talk directly about auditory hallucinations, she still talk about them. Poor sleep patterns and feeling lethargic during the day. High school dropout, became independent in May 2021, borderline intelligence took the test herself. Around March 24th, the family became aware, the pupil itself appears empty. Suddenly she said she would hit the person next to her. And she do hit the wall. There was also talk of revenge. She also said that she found it difficult to endure the noise she heard from other places because she thought it was bothering her. Auditory hallucinations, delusions, abnormal behavior, and violence. Incheon Mental Hospital actual medical note written by Dr. An Oo. It all started when I first had dinner and talk with dad on December 28, 2023. December 28, 2023 payment date for takeout packaging. A conflict began with the couple in room 909 next door due to noise between the walls. Even when I sleep with dad at night in Hangsan Sen Zeroville, dad hear conversations of people at the bar outside the window. Dad said, why aren't those kids sleeping and making noise? During the day, when someone was yelling outside the window, dad got annoyed and said, that crazy guy. Dad was also sensitive to sound and had a sensitive personality, but dad was not interested in the sensitivities or emotions of others. About 30 minutes later, Dr. and OO from the mental hospital came in and the paramedic left. Dr. An Oo asked me, why do you think you came here? Dr. An Oo asked me a question, so I told Dr. An Oo about a situation where the couple next door to one-room apartment intentionally followed me around and gave me a sign, saying they could hear me and dad talking sound during the day. And I said that everything written on the paper, what happened, Korean file is everything. Dad had about 200 million won in debt and was having a hard time. So I told the Dr. An Oo that dad seemed to be having a hard time with money and was mentally unstable. Dad recently went to the hospital for treatment and was wearing a neck brace because his cervical disc was getting worse. So I told Dr. An Oo that dad also had a cervical disc problem and was not feeling well. Dr. An Oo listened to my story and write in the medical note like this. Patient don't know why came here, think parents suddenly sent me. Sleeping well, feel fine, there's nothing wrong. Nothing special happened today, was going to move with dad. Talked about the conflict with neighbor in one-room apartment. There's nothing to be anxious about, dad took me here because dad was anxious. Next door? Thought it was a coincidence, but it seems like they were following me around on purpose and giving me sign. A boy and a girl were watching? They didn't go out themselves, and they stayed there all day, harassing and such. And Dr. An Oo wrote in his medical note that I had schizophrenia, drug-induced secondary Parkinsonism, and non-organic insomnia. Incheon Mental Hospital actual medical note written by Dr. An Oo. And when Dr. An Oo said I could leave, I went out to the lobby. Then the lobby elevator door opened and about 10 employees came out. Nearly 10 employees took me up in the elevator, and they asked me to take out all the belongings in my pockets. And they gave me a hospital gown and told me to change into it. I was locked in a single-room iron cage. In the single cage right next to mine, 2 women were each locked up. The woman locked in the single cage at the very end asked to be let out and asked for cola, and hit the iron bars. The male employees in purple uniforms were angry, saying, how speak like that, and, told you not to hit. Even the female employee in the pink uniform was annoyed, saying, no cola. After a while, a staff member wearing a pink uniform came to me and took a blood and blood pressure test. After a while, a short-haired female employee wearing a blue uniform and 2 male employees wearing a purple uniform came in. If you don't eat, you'll be taken to the stability room and given a butt injection, she said that, and threatened to me and make open my mouth. And they forced me to take 4 pills whose ingredients I didn't even know. And said, try tongue like this and show. They make me open my mouth again and show try tongue hanging out. The staff checked inside my mouth and under my tongue to make sure swallow the medicine. After about a day, a female employee told me and woman who was locked in the single cage next to me to follow her. I was moved to a 6-person cage with the woman I was with. 2 staff members, a female employee in a pink uniform and a male employee in a purple uniform, entered the ward 3 times a day carrying a medicine cart. And they administered antipsychotic medications to the hospitalized people. And they told me open my mouth to show the bottom of my tongue, and they checked inside my mouth to see if I swallowed the medicine and they left. And instead of giving me my personal water bottle that Dad had given me, the employee said, buy a 3,001 plastic cup at the store. One time, a woman in a doctor's gown said, if you stop taking the hospital medication, you will experience withdrawal symptoms, so you should never stop taking it. She saying, hospital medicine is something you take for life, gave a group drug education. And she gave Candy who same ward Shin Oo that answered the question well. A male employee in a purple uniform took the hospitalized patients into the elevator and took them to the X-ray examination room. I felt dizzy and lightheaded as a side effect of the medication while taking the X-ray and vomited white foam on the floor. So I had another X-ray done another day. But the psychiatric hospital staff didn't stop and continued to administer the medication to me. The Incheon mental hospital where I was admitted blocked communication with the outside world by not allowing me to carry a cell phone. The public phone in the mental hospital could only be used during the day by paying with a T-Money card. So, if you don't remember the phone number of the person who put you in the mental hospital, you can't request to be discharged. Communication with the outside world was cut off, making it easy for long-term hospitalizations to be extended. Every day, patients lined up in front of a public phone to request discharge. A patient called from a payphone, shouting loudly, "What did I do wrong? Let me out." And when the patient hangs up and goes back, a short-haired employee in a blue uniform came to me while I was standing in line for a public phone. She said, "Don't yell," and left, giving me a warn. And Dr. An Oo wrote this in his medical note. Medical note page 3 May 3, 2024, 6 a.m. It's not that I really want to die or anything, I just feel wronged. I can't understand why Dad took me here. I'm annoyed, what's wrong with me? Incheon Mental Hospital actual medical note written by Dr. An Oo. When it was finally my turn, I remembered Dad's phone number, paid with T-Money, and called Dad. Dad refused, saying, "The doctor said you should stay until you get better." I called again the next day. Dad kept ignoring me and not letting me out. "If you don't get me out, I'll die," I said and hung up. The employee said, "Dad sent me some kimchi stir-fry, but you can't bring in outside food," and threw it away. Sister Shin Oo, who stays in the same hospital cage, she approached me every day in a friendly manner. And said that she had been admitted to the hospital of his own free will. Sister Shin Oo was the only one who was close with the staff and went out to other hospital cages to play. Sister Shin Oo fought with her aunt, who was hospitalized in the same hospital cage, and her aunt was moved to a different cage. The male staff member said, "Mr. Oo sent her to the room next to that person, so cool." Sister Shin Oo saying proudly boasted. One time, I saw the clothes that Shin Oo was wearing and told her that the color was pretty. Sister said it was oatmeal colored and cost 20,000 won. I told Dad about Sister Shin Oo account number over the public phone. When Dad said he deposited the money, I received clothes from Sister. Sister Shin Oo introduced me to another outfit. "How much should I sell this for if you're willing to buy it?" she asked, so I said I had similar clothes at home. Dad told the hospital, and the staff came to me and told me not to buy clothes for Sister Shin Oo and to go to the market to buy some. Sister Shin Oo bought orange Goryo Yundan vitamin pills from the store and distributed them every day. In April 2025, KBS News reported that Goryo Yundan's vitamin supplements were found to contain twice the iodine content, leading to a recall by the Ministry of Food and Drug Safety. A Russian woman came into our cage. A Russian woman said she had a Korean husband and a baby, and showed her caesarean-sectioned belly. She said her husband and father-in-law had her committed to a mental hospital. The Russian said she wanted to see her husband and baby. The first day I was admitted to a single cage, I saw a woman who was locked up with me in the hallway. A woman asked for a cola and started singing. Male employees in purple uniforms grabbed the woman's arms and legs and dragged her to the cage. A girl wearing glasses, 20 years younger than me, came into the same hospital cage for the first time. When it was time to take the medication, 2 staff members came in with the medicine and told the girl to take it. The girl asked what this medicine is. The staff said, "Your dream is to be a nurse to eat," to her. The girl refused to take the medicine, but the staff kept pressuring her to take it. She poured water on the floor and pushed the cart and out. The employee got angry and said, "What the FX?" The staff watched the patients and reported to Dr. An Oo. Some employees looked at me strangely when they saw me not eating meat. After being admitted to the hospital, Dr. An Oo asked during the interview, "Why don't you eat meat?" And he looked at me as if he didn't understand. "Why don't you eat meat?" he asked again. In the mental hospital, vegetable proteins such as tofu or soybean side dishes were never served. Dr. An Oo did not write down what I said in the first interview before I was admitted on the May 2 page of my medical note. It was written together with the interview dated May 7. And after being admitted, I only had one meeting with Dr. An Oo on May 7. Dr. An Oo medical note on May 7 and May 8. He wrote down the contents of the first interview on May 2 and the interview on May 7. Written as if the interview was held 2 days in a row. At 4 a.m., everyone is asleep and I go to the bathroom alone. The staff called me in and put me another blood test again. And then I added the Farabayu Siobangshonyak and administered it. I had black stool as a side effect of the Farova drug. The psychiatric hospital admitted people as soon as they applied for admission without a proper 2-week diagnostic process and forcibly administered medication. According to SBS News, this is because mental hospitals are operated with government subsidies for hospitalization costs. Private ambulances encouraging involuntary hospitalization, as reported by the Kookmin Ilbo. According to the Ministry of Health and Welfare, Korea has the highest rate of involuntary hospitalization in the world. The test results from May 2 came out on May 7. Parents and Dr. Ahn unilaterally administered psychiatric medications starting on May 2 without any medical considerations or confirmation. The antipsychotic medications that parents and Dr. Ahn have administered to me since May 2 are indonyl ketapine alprazolam and aripiprazole. Unethical animal testing, adverse reactions and risks from clinical trials involving patients. And some of the data reported by the Ministry of Food and Drug Safety and the Korea Pharmaceutical Information Service. Indonyl tablet decreased heart rate, dyspnea, visual disturbances, intrauterine fetal miscarriage, neonatal cardiopulmonary complications. Ketapine tablets hyperglycemia, leukopenia, death, intestinal obstruction, neuroleptic malignant syndrome, cerebrovascular disease. Alprazolam tablet. It has been reported that intrauterine exposure to benzodiazepine drugs may cause malformations. Aripiprazole tablet developmental toxicity including the possibility of teratogenicity, increased miscarriage rate, increased fetal mortality. Abnormal skeletal muscle, and impaired reproductive ability were demonstrated when this drug was administered to pregnant rabbits. And all 4 antipsychotic medications. It is a medicine with added lactose hydrate. The Food and Drug Administration's Pharmaceutical Information Center's precautions clearly state that patients with lactose intolerance are prohibited from taking the drug. Although the precautions state that you should avoid tea and dairy products while taking Farabayu Siobangshong. Dr. Ahn ignored that and administered 4 lactose-containing antipsychotics and Farova USR tablets at the same time. The store in Incheon Mental Hospital opens every day at 11 a.m. They sold tea, dairy products, snacks, and cup ramen to the hospitalized patients. While staff administer medications to the patients, they did not inform the patients of the precautions against consuming tea, dairy products, etc. while taking the medication, as stated in the Pharmaceutical Information Center. It's been about 6 days since I started taking antipsychotic medication. My breathing became a little more difficult. All I could do was sleep in bed and take the 4 psychiatric medications the staff gave me 3 times a day when they came into my 6-person ward. I became afraid of just only surviving in the ward. A small library used as a store within the hospital. The wall was covered with writings that said, "I want to go out," and "I want to be discharged." So I also bought a water pen at the store. I wrote on the wall that I want to be discharged. I couldn't go for a walk outside, so I just kept walking down the hallway. I was scared and wanted to get out of the hospital as soon as possible. I asked the people in the same 6-bed ward how I could be discharged and shared my concerns. Then Aunt advised me, "Call Dad and tell him I will continue to take the hospital medicine well even after I am discharged, so let me out here." And the next day at noon, Aunt helped me a lot by saying, there's almost no line right now, so go and call your dad right now and tell him." I followed Aunt's advice and went to a public phone and called Dad, Hyo Young-won. And say as Aunt advised, "Please let me be discharged because I will continue to take the hospital medicine even after I am discharged." I even threw up foam because of the medicine at the hospital. "The reason I speak so quietly is because the nurses are all listening," I said. And Dad said okay. The next day, a female employee said parents would come to discharge me. And as I was preparing to be discharged, the staff told me that I had anemia. I shared my phone number with the people in the 6-person ward I was in. I asked Aunt if she could give me her number, but she said she would call me, so I wrote my number on a note and gave it to her. And then I follow the staff and take the elevator down. I was able to meet parents and leave Incheon Mental Hospital. And Dr. Ahn wrote this in his medical note. "Want to go home feeling better, there's nothing wrong, talk to herself when she think." Incheon Mental Hospital actual medical note written by Dr. Ahn. We back in Hangsan Sen 0ville 1 Cha. This time, Mom came with me to the first building of Hangsan Sen 0ville 2. Mom came and talked too. Couple in 909 room next door didn't show. Dad, out of ignorance, continued to feed me the psychiatric medication prescribed by the Incheon Mental Hospital for 3 to 4 more days. Dad doesn't care about what happened with the neighbor next door, apartment 909, in Hangsan Sen 0ville 1 Cha building. Dad doesn't even care about the name or ingredients of the antipsychotic medication he's feed me right now. Dad just wanted me just be quiet by take medication and stop talking about conflict with the couple in room 909 next door. But even if Dad feed me these psychiatric medications, the conflict I had with the couple in room 909 next door doesn't go away. As my shortness of breath got worse, I told Mom and visited an internal medicine clinic in Ilsan. Doctor said there didn't seem to be any major problems with the electrocardiogram and X-ray examination. I also visited another internal medicine clinic in Ilsan. Mom to internal medicine department drive. Mom showed doctor the blood test results and medications I had been prescribed when I first went to the psychiatric hospital on May 2nd. The doctor was surprised and said, "This level of anemia is okay. Shouldn't feed this Sfarabeu Siobangshonyak without permission. If keep feed it, you can have stomach, you will get cancer. Why feeding this? Instead, give her a multivitamin," doctor said. Continued shortness of breath, and the internist said that Farova medicine can make the stomach worse and even cause cancer. I visited Yongdeungpo Comprehensive Health Checkup Center and had first gastroscopy. The comprehensive examination results report stated that chronic superficial gastritis was observed in the upper gastrointestinal endoscopy, and that it could be caused by various factors. The blood test result at Yongdeungpo Comprehensive Health Checkup Center was 12.1, which was normal and not anemic. I told Dad about the side effect of breathing difficulties and stopped taking the medication. Then, like a ghost, an employee of Incheon Mental Hospital sent message me and called herself social worker Park Oo. "Are you keep taking your medication?" She sent a text message. I sent a message saying that I stopped taking the medicine because I felt short of breath. Then the employee said, "I will teach you the outpatient clinic hours of Incheon Mental Hospital or information about a hospital near your home." She sent this text message to encourage the purchase of hospital medication. When I was admitted, the staff dragged me to the stability room, threatened me with an injection, and force-fed me medicine. After I was discharged, Incheon Mental Hospital staff found out my personal information and phone number. She changed her attitude and approached me in a friendly tone. Even though I didn't want to, the next day, she kept asking, "How was your week?" She constantly sent texts like, "Did you accomplish what you wanted to do after out hospital?" Actual text message from Incheon Mental Hospital staff. So I blocked the number so the employee couldn't send me any more texts to try to buy hospital medication. I wanted to move out of Hangsan one-room apartment, so I told Dad and we went to Paju C Real Estate together. When the Paju C Real Estate agent said the deposit was 1,060, Dad sighed. Seeing that, I understood why Dad had found me a cheap, noise-prone house like Hangsan Zeroville. After Mom and Dad left Hangsan Zeroville, room 909 came out as if it had been waiting for me and opened and closed the front door forcefully. I can no longer live in Hangsan Zeroville, so I signed a contract for a Goshiwon in Yongdeungpo. Yongdeungpo Gosiwon payment. I packed my bags, left Hangsan Zeroville, and went to Yongdeungpo Gosiwon. When the couple in room 909 of Hangsan Zero building followed me around and showed me signs several times. If I showed the CCTV to Dad. If I had just left Hangsan Senville and gone to another accommodation. If I had acted smartly and quickly. I don't think I would have been locked up in a mental hospital and forced to take medication. If I consented and ate it of my own choice, it would be okay if these side effects occurred. But parents made me open my mouth through the psychiatric hospital staff without my consent and administered these psychiatric drugs. So I was even more surprised to see the side effects of these drugs. I was worried about the side effects the medications would have on me later, whether they would cause cancer, or whether they would cause fetal abnormalities or miscarriage. While researching about the drug, I also learned about the risks of thalidomide and the cases of birth defects caused by the drug. But there was no reason to worry. Initially, parents applied for it, and the hospital staff made me open my mouth and administer the medications that had reported adverse reactions above. I realized that even a child who inherited parents' genes wasn't worth giving birth to in the first place. I almost gave birth to baby without thinking. People are as violent as they are thoughtless.